Thought I'd call this video a moment of reflection, and I was thinking about this whole jab sitcho, and there's really two sides of the fence. You're either fully against it, and you wonder how people could put it in your body, or you're fully support it, and you wonder how people haven't put it in their body. And it's interesting when you look at the dynamic in terms of just how people's reactions are. We, because we've done our due diligence and have not been lazy and actually looked at the other side of the story, and not only looked at the other side of the story, we ensured that the information we were being given on the other side of the story was correct by looking at multiple sources and seeing if you could find that there was, the evidence was starting to match up, right? But the other side, they watch the news and basically check the first fact checker they can look at, and that's what they call research. But the funny thing is, in terms of the way people act towards each other, it's exactly the same thing. It's just on the other side of the fence. It's like, the people who are jabbed, how could you not be jabbed? You're putting everyone at risk. You're going to kill it. You're going to kill people. You're putting everyone at risk of the virus spreading, or whatever else they're saying, right? But our conversation is very different. Ours is more, how could you put that in your body? Do you understand how much risk you're at by having that in your body? And it doesn't affect us whatsoever in terms of them putting that in the body, apart from the fact that we have to go along with all this bullshit that isn't supported by any science whatsoever. And it's support the science we tell you to support when we tell you to support it, not just follow the science, because there's plenty of science that has come out and said, hey, this is a bad idea. Hey, these things are friggin' dangerous. Hey, these things are causing A, B, C, D, and F. Whether the big pharma companies want to admit it or not, whether the paid-off big pharma whore doctors and scientists and experts want to say it or not, there's definitely evidence coming out, serious evidence that we should be concerned, really, really concerned, right? But it's just interesting, looking at the dynamic of the two different sides, and just seeing how the two different sides, in terms of the conversation, is quite similar in terms of how could you do that to yourself, or how could you not have that, and how could you put other people at risk. But there's the same level of passion from both sides, right? And I don't know, maybe look, as fucked up as it sounds to say this, it really just shows the nature of people themselves. In terms of people are good, and people care about other people, and I think that people are, the way they look at this, they're just concerned about everybody else in terms of what they're doing. Well, most people, some are narcissistic scumbags and they just care about themselves, sort of thing. But you can see that either way, everyone's just concerned about everyone else in a certain way. We're like, don't put that shit in your body. It's fucking dangerous. Don't go anywhere near it. And they're like, how could you not have that in your body? You're going to kill somebody and you're going to, infect all these people. Even though that's not based on science whatsoever. Even though all the science that's coming out now, the real science, even though the proper medical experts that have come out to, say how bad this is and how much of a mistake this was, are being silenced left, right, and center. The truth is still coming out through the cracks here, and even the mainstream media now has no choice but to start touching on the fact that this could very well be one of the biggest fuck-ups medically the world has ever seen. It's safe to say that this could be one of the biggest worldwide. And I'm not going to say fuck up because it was not done on purpose, right? But this was purposely done. But the medical field, they're going to see it, man, we fucked up big time. We have caused irreversible damage to the population. But it was just interesting, It was interesting thinking about the dynamic. I know I've been a bit quiet on social media, man, and that's because, you know, I just haven't really had much to say. And yeah, just sometimes you just really do need to take some time to yourself, and especially over this 2-year period, man, I got fucking thrashed. So mentally, physically, emotionally, I was just absolutely spent, and it was really good to get off social media, to be honest, because like, truth be told, before all this shit happened, I really wasn't on social media much. I actually even took 5-6 months off where I just deleted everything out of my phone, and I didn't want anything to do with using social media at all. Yeah, so it's, you know, it is mentally taxing, and it does take a lot of energy, and yeah, sometimes you just need to have a break. But I was just thinking that today, and I said, we are very similar in terms of what we're doing, in terms of how we feel, but it's completely different in terms of the dynamic of why we're doing it. You know, when we're trying to warn people, it's like, because it's dangerous, you don't put that in your body, you don't understand what these guys are saying to us. And they're, you know, basically just really supporting all of the rubbish they're being told, and they're just going along with it. But it wouldn't take much time to just do some research and see that, yeah, look, I don't really trust this guy, Thanos, what he's saying with regards to the vaxxers, because, you know, I believe that I'm right about this, but, you know, he's got a point. Maybe I should go and have a look at this, just in case there's another side to this that I should be concerned about. And it's like, okay, well, where would be the incentive to do that? Well, the pharmaceutical companies stand to profit billions of dollars. If that is not an incentive to keep jabbing a living, breathing population over and over and over again, if money has never been the ultimate incentive to these corporations, then you would have to be living under a rock. Seriously. So if you agree with just the one point that the pharmaceutical companies would, in fact, ensure that this would continue just to profit billions of dollars, because that there is enough of a motive to keep lying to a living, breathing population, then you don't have to agree with me on anything else, and you should really do your due diligence at that stage and go, okay, I don't like this guy, but does he have a point when he says that these people stand to profit billions? That's why they wouldn't want to keep injecting a living, breathing population, even after all the science has come out and said that, you know, this is dangerous, even after all the medical professionals have come out and said that we should be careful with this, even after you've seen these ridiculous headlines that you'd never seen before in your life, ridiculous things that say that, you know, heart attacks can be caused by looking at daylight savings, and just ridiculous things that talk about, you know, anyone can have heart complications now, even young healthy adults, when you know, declarated, highly published cardiologists have said that this is, like, to see a problem with a child's heart was a super, super, super rare occurrence, and they'd never ever seen anything like this before. If that isn't enough of an incentive for you, in the interest of your family, to actually do your due diligence, understanding it, yes, there could be a motive why the pharmaceutical companies and the media would continue to push this rubbish, because it means that they can profit billions of dollars. Leave the depopulation agenda out of it for a moment and just look at this from a very, very good business standpoint. As long as you maintain the fear and you control the media, you are profiting billions as the pharmaceutical companies. So if you can just agree with the fact that these corporations really, really have one goal in mind, and that is money, right? Then you can agree that there might just be a counter reason why this rubbish is continuing. And then you have to ask, well, so the UK has dropped the mandates. Why is Australia so hell-bent on doing this still? Well, it just goes to show how corrupt our politicians are. Yeah. It just goes to show how corrupt AHPRA is, how corrupt our politicians are, how corrupt the Therapeutic Goods Administration are, and when it comes for times of fire and pitchforks, mate, AHPRA and Therapeutic Goods Administration would be the first place that the masses would want to fucking go and, you know, say hello to and start knocking on the door. Right? They there have systematically led to the destruction of the population of Australia's immune systems, mate. Have destroyed the health of a living, breathing population of a country. They are at the top of the list. So it just goes to show just how corrupt all these people are. All of them. Absolutely all of them. And if you want an indication of how corrupt our politicians were already, before this all started, all you need to say is Bill Heffernan, Senator Bill Heffernan, got in front in the Senate and spoke of 28 names that he was concerned about that were found to be associated with a brothel that serviced children. Yes, right? They were on a list. Did they investigate them? Did they actually do their due diligence? Did they take them through the court system? No, they didn't. They just said, well, we don't want to do that because some of them were very high judges, right? And even ex-prime ministers were on the list. And they said they want to ensure that people don't lose faith in the judiciary. That's what they said. Now, if that isn't a reflection of how corrupt our politicians are, and it does not display just how something of this nature that could be to this level of corruption could happen within a country like Australia, then you've been living under a rock. Because if these pedophiles can get away with living their lives and living this lavish lifestyle, and some of them still work within the judiciary, these people that should be in jail are passing judgment on other people and saying whether people should go free and other people should remain in jail when they are the biggest criminals of all of them. And people say, well, you don't want to damage their reputation. Well, you don't need to damage their reputation. You can keep this as a fully private investigation until you have 100% confirmed that these people are involved and they are guilty, and then you release the names. So there are always ways where they could have done this. So to anyone who says that, oh no, this couldn't happen, whatever else, you're full of shit. You're living under a rock. You're living in a state of denial. And if you ever wonder how a country like Australia could see all these different countries around the world dropping these mandates left, right and centre because they can see just how much they fucked up and this country is pushing a fifth, that's you can see why. Because of all of these people that are involved. And the level of corruption that exists in this country is just absolutely ridiculous. Yeah, so that's basically the situation, man. And yeah, but the dynamic between the two sides, you know, I think people everyone's just so set in their ways at this point in terms of these people that are getting jabbed or whatever else. Like, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. And if whatever documentation you show them, they say, oh, that's doctored, that's faked, oh no, that's not real, oh, that's fake news. So they just brush everything off anyway. So, you know, I think the only way people learn is, you know, to go through the discomfort of what would be associated with getting a bad batch. And, yeah, you go from there, I suppose. But yeah, I think that's all I've got to say, guys. Yeah, I've just been taking a little bit of time to myself. And yeah, you have to sometimes, you know, you really have to. And mate, I'm only fucking human. I'm just a dude from the suburbs. And, you know, anyone who has me in any higher regard than that, you shouldn't, right? Anyone can basically do in terms of get onto social media and speak your mind and not be afraid what people think. And, you know, there'd be people that would want to tune into your stuff. I don't know. That's all I've got to say, I reckon. Yeah, that's all that comes to mind. I'm pretty sure that's on the is it the 26th of March, the big protest in Canberra's coming up. I think it's the 26th. I'm pretty sure it's the 26th. I'll have to double check that. But yeah, that's going to be a huge one. Mate, fuel prices are through the roof, so maybe they did that on purpose so people don't drive to Canberra. Yeah. But I think at the end of the day, if I'm going to end this on a positive note, man, I think that you really have to learn to live in two worlds with all this shit going on. And it's a race, it's a marathon, not a sprint. and you really have to find your peace wherever you are and do what makes you happy. You really have to find that, because you're not going to get this result overnight. It's not going to happen, and that's just me being realistic. I'm not being negative. And look, I'm generally a very, very positive person, so people have really seen the worst of me in lives when I'm losing my shit. Generally, I'm a very, very positive person, so you're seeing me like that 1% when I'm losing my shit. And yeah, I do like to spread that message of positivity. And yeah, just find what you love doing, man, and then do it, whatever that is. I know there's a fucked up world we live in. Yeah, and look, everything's just been normalised. The fact that you can't go into a pub or, go to the gym, or, legally, you can't go to a bar, you can't, or because you choose not to take something that's proven now not to be safe, or because you choose to take something now that's proven, and it's been, there's highly declarated people, highly published medical professionals have come out and said, mate, this is a really bad idea what these people are doing, and yet the government's still pushing it. It is. We really live in this fucked up backwards world where, the wrong people are in jail and the right people are out of jail. It really is. It really is one of those worlds, where those big pharma scumbags are constantly poisoning people and keeping them hooked on their treatments. They're treatments. They're not cures. They're treatments. Meanwhile, these people's bodies just disintegrate to nothing, to the point where they just can't self-maintain themselves anymore, and before you know it, another individual leaves this earth because their body just can't take it anymore. Yeah, we really do have some evil fucking assholes running this world, man. And if there was, if these people were just actually cared about people, and there was real, genuine people who genuinely cared about other people, the education system would be different. The way people are educated would be different, in terms of they'd learn about how to read legislation and law. They'd learn about, how to actually manage money and become prosperous on their own. But the system's not designed for that. It's designed to create people that can earn just enough money to earn, to get to work their 5 days a week or 6 days a week, and go on 4 weeks holiday a year, and they just remain a slave to a 25-year commitment to the bank to pay off their mortgage. And the bank's perfect customer when it comes to people for paying a mortgage is they do that 25-year period to pay that mortgage, and meanwhile they've paid the bank boatloads of money in interest. And it's all by design, mate. None of this stuff is by accident. These people don't want prosperous, free-thinking, actually intelligent people. They want people that are educated through their system to serve their needs, to serve their agenda. So if you've got a doctorate, if you've gotten you have a PhD, or you have whatever, one of these culmination of letters next to your name, like PhD or DR or whatever else you want to call it, you have been through the indoctrination system, right? And the system, the education system that was created by them to educate you in their way of thinking, to be an expert in an agenda that they are pushing. So if you're a mechanical engineer, you've been given a certain doctrine to follow. If you're a doctor, you've been given a certain doctrine to follow. You don't think outside the box, and anything that would be counterintuitive towards the agenda, i.e., hey, you could probably cure cancer with fruit seeds, for instance, vitamin B17, for instance, is completely shunned and seen as, whack medicine or whatever else, and it's done on purpose. So, everyone who is a professional in their field, in this current state, in this world, you are a professional in your field the way they want you to be a professional to serve their agenda. So if you are, if you know your science the way they want you to know the science. If you're a medical professional, you're a medical professional in the way that they'd like you to be a medical professional to treat medicine. And so on and so forth. They have unlimited wealth, unlimited resources, and they have created these systems a very long time ago to keep you in the Matrix. And the movie The Matrix is the quintessential example of what this world is like. And when you become unplugged and you can see the outside of what's controlling everything, when you can see that, you can see that the movie The Matrix is basically just them having a laugh. And they're mocking us, because all of these people that are plugged in right now and have accepted the fact that some people can go to a gym or go to a pub and some can't, who aren't injected with this so-called solution, even though it doesn't stop the spread and doesn't stop people from catching it, are people that are plugged into the Matrix. And they are, they're watching their football, weekly. They're going to their 9-to-5 job or their 6-to-3 job, right? They're earning just enough to go on their one holiday a year. Meanwhile, they pay off their mortgage and be a good little citizen, a good little modern day slave, right? So everything's by design, mate. Everything, absolutely everything. And when you do become unplugged, you can see how ugly this world really is, in terms of not how ugly the earth is, not how ugly nature is, because that is breathtaking beyond breathtaking, right? I mean the people that run the systems, right? These Luciferian scumbags who run this system, this hidden world where they move all of their money and they don't pay tax, and all of us underling slaves are the ones who end up paying all the tax, and all the big corporations are running through trusts and foundations and all of these little loopholes, so they don't actually pay any tax or next to no tax, and we meanwhile are getting shafted 30 cents to $1 for everything we earn. And then after we pay our 30 cents to $1 for everything we earn, we still have stamp duty when we need to buy a car. We still have land tax. And when we do decide to, when we do something that's successful and actually do create some wealth for ourselves, i.e. sell a nice block of land for a profit, then we're seen to, have to pay an additional tax. Or if we buy a really nice car because we've been successful, then they look at charging us something called a fringe benefit tax. On top of that, you're also getting charged GST, which is a tax that can be charged on one item for multiple times. Every time it exchanges hands, guess what? The government gets to make more money off us, right? Meanwhile, these big corporations don't pay any tax. And they're running all their money, as I said, through private trusts and foundations and not-for-profits and all of these other things, like the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Everyone thinks they're philanthropists. That is the biggest friggin' tax dodge of the planet. And that's how they go and pay off all of these corporations, all of these pharmaceutical companies. What do you think they do? They give them research grants. They don't just pay them off, they give them research grants. So all of these rich billionaire bastards don't pay any tax. They live in their own worlds. They have their own rules. They move their money without anyone seeing how it works, right? And all of the money that makes all of our governments run, in terms of our roads, our infrastructure, all that, all gets paid by us modern day slaves, our underlings, and not these people at the top. It's a big club, and you're not in it. We're not in the club. As I said, you either know about the club and you're in the club, you know about the club and you're definitely not in the club, or you have no idea the club exists, where you're definitely not in the club, right? And you don't even know the club exists. All right, guys, all the best. Hopefully you've enjoyed my live. I don't know, share it. And yeah, as I said, learn to live in two worlds. Find some positivity in your life there somewhere, and because if you just focus on this shit 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, it will absolutely fucking consume you, and that's what these bastards want. So one of the best ways in order for you to have any type of win at the moment is to find some way to be happy and find some way to be able to be enjoying your life to some degree, even though these people think we're useless eaters and they want us off this planet once and for good. The one thing you can do is just find a place of positivity, mate. That's all I've got to say. See you later.